What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the Sunday Breakfast, a monthly talk show where we sit down and get real each first Sunday of the month. Let's get right into it. Here's the first topic that's been sitting in my to talk about list for quite some time now. And it's a topic of loneliness or the feeling of just being alone. It's a topic of, let me rephrase that. It's the feeling of, am I alone or am I actually lonely? Do I find myself in solace or do I find myself suffering loneliness? Which one is it? Am I alright being alone or am I quite troubled being alone? Quite a dilemma to grasp or to get to the bottom of. And I want to get to the bottom of it in this video right here. So let's do it. Alright, so there's a couple factors that are kind of determine whichever one it really is, pretty much. People who are alone, oftentimes comfortable being alone. Like for myself, I consider myself to be a alone type of person who finds solace with themselves, who finds the absence of others to be quite comforting and preferable versus being surrounded by a whole bunch of other people. And that's me personally. But that's from when I'm like that, I don't feel as if I'm lonely per se. I feel as if I'm simply by myself, existing by myself, for myself. But on the contrast, the feeling of loneliness and being by yourself, being by yourself and feeling lonely derives from wanting to be with others, but you aren't with others and you're by yourself. It's kind of two different things, and being lonely, or suffering loneliness means that you don't have those around you whom you wish to have around you. And that's quite a situation that you're in. It can come from different things such as like depression, suffer from loneliness, really not wanting to reach out to others or not wanting to be around others, but wanting to be around others. It's a whole ordeal. It's a whole thing. It can come from depression. Yes, it can come from, you're scared, that feeling of not wanting to put yourself out there. Kind of what we talked about, what was it, last week or so on the last Sunday breakfast. It's just about, undermining yourself, undermining your value, undermining what you mean, or undermining your value as a person. Or it can come from isolation, and it can come from you putting yourself and closing yourself in this box, in this glass cage, and envisioning yourself as this animal that's stuck in this cage, that's just being puppeteered with, that's just being toyed with, that this thing is just stuck in this cage when you're really not stuck in this cage, and it's just your imagination, a figment of your imagination is just your flawed view of things. And to really escape that is to put yourself out there, which I'm not sure those who kind of go through that loneliness are so willing to do all the time. And that's understandable, because being lonely is quite different from being alone. And I can say being lonely in this day and age specifically, it sucks, because the 21st century, being lonely is the worst thing ever. Being bored is the worst thing ever to possibly ever. It's not the most healthiest mindset, and it's not the most healthiest way to live your life, because that's what I think. That's what I've come to gather in my, I guess, evaluation of life. That's what I think. I think you share that same ideal, though, and I hope you do share that. I hope you do share that same ideal, because if we do share that same ideal, if you do think that, then you are one of the few who hope to change that and hope to, I guess, pull yourself in a direction or push yourself in a direction that's geared more towards yourself and not what others think or what others believe or what others do. You don't find yourself conforming to the standards that are, I guess, negatively impacting your life. Today's topic wasn't all about that. Today's topic was about loneliness and feeling alone, and whether or not whichever one you find yourself in, you can fix it, you can get out of it, you can get yourself in a better situation if you first off come true about the situation that you're in. If you are this alone person who is by themselves all the time, who feels as if they are kind of lonely, don't keep yourself in this alone category, because if you feel that you are lonely, but you kind of cope and say that, no, I just like being alone, but when you are alone, you feel depressed, you feel like you need to be doing, you feel like you You feel like you just don't have all the boxes ticked or have all the I don't know how to put this, but you just feel like you need other stimulation other than yourself. And that is okay to admit. That is okay to come to grasp with, because you're kind of it's just like being surrounded by introverted people, or it's just like being surrounded by introverted people and forcing yourself to believe that you're an introvert, but on deep down you actually are an extrovert. And it's okay to admit that. Sometimes it might be the opposite, sometimes it may be this way. It's just okay to admit that, and we move past it and we grow from it, and that's how we get out of that situation. But if you consider yourself lonely, just because you are alone by yourself does not automatically mean that you are lonely. You may be lonely by yourself. People may say that you have depression tendencies or something like that, but if you are truly, truly okay being alone by yourself, then you aren't lonely. I would rather you classify yourself as just a person who likes being alone, who likes being in solace, who's one of those can do anything by themselves and still be a sane person at the end of the day. So, hope you guys enjoyed this Sunday breakfast. I'll see you guys next week.